And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Star Wars Clue. Now, I'm assuming if you watch this, you probably have heard of Clue before. It's definitely a very popular game. Star Wars, you've probably heard of that before. Putting these together. Now, I'm not actually a big fan of Clue at all. I think the game Clue's okay with a flaw, which I'll talk about later. But there's a lot of other better deduction games out there. But I had some people say, hey Tom, this one is actually really cool. This one, and I looked at it, and it looked really cool. So I went out and got a copy of it. Let's see if it's different and better than Clue. The first thing you do is you're going to build the board here. So it's a three-dimensional board. They show you how to build it with the pieces. It's not too hard, and it stays together pretty well. And then each character is going to pick, each player is going to pick a character. You got C-3PO, R2-D2, Princess Leia, Luke, Chewbacca, and Han Solo. So you pick one of these characters, and whatever character you pick is going to start here. Now you're trying to find out three things in this game. You're trying to find out which planet Darth Vader is going to blow up next. And you're also going to figure out which room on board he has these plans hidden in. And then finally, you're trying to figure out which vehicle on board you can escape in. One of these cards is going to be randomly drawn from each deck without anyone seeing it, and you're going to stick it in here, and that is the answer. The rest of the cards are going to be put together, shuffled, and dealt out to each player. Each player is going to have a sheet where they can cross off the information that they know and keep hidden from everyone else so you can know what the right answers are. There's some tokens on the board here for the different vehicles, and there's also tokens for the different planets. And then there is another deck of cards as well as a die. On your turn, you're going to roll the die, and that's how many spaces you can move on the board. Now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get to a room. Let's say you do land in a room. You can ask a question. You can say, I think the plans are hidden in the laser control room. And then you pick one of the vehicles with a TIE fighter, and Alderaan is the planet trying to blow up. So then going around the table, each player, starting with the player to your left, if they have one of those three things, they have to show you that card. So let's say the player to my left has none of those things. He says, I don't have any of those things. Okay, so then you go to the next player. That person has TIE fighter and Alderaan. However, they only need to show me one of them, so they show me TIE fighter. The next player has the laser control room, but they don't have to show me anything. So I'm only going to get to see one thing. So I see that one thing, and it's the next person's turn. So just going around and asking these questions, and either no one will have it. So, by the way, you're supposed to say, I cannot answer if you don't have anything. Anyhow, if you land in a hallway, like this player did because he rolled a 1, you draw a corridor card. When you draw these, something's going to happen. So here, you've been caught. If you've been caught, you're sent to the detention room, which is up here on the second floor, and you're stuck there. You can't get out till another player comes in and rescues you. If a player comes and rescues you, you have to show them a card from your hand. And if all the players are in a detention block, everyone loses. There's also a comm link where you can basically get a free question about one thing. Stormtrooper ahead where you can roll again and move. And if you don't get into a room on your second roll, then you have to go to the trash compactor down here. All clear, you can go to any room you want on that floor. And that's pretty much all the cards that are in the corridor deck. So you have those things. Anyhow, after players are crossing out the information, someone might say, I know exactly what it is. They announce it. They go into here, they look secretly, and if they're correct, trash compactor. You have to be in the room that it's in, by the way, to announce it. Alderaan and TIE Bomber. If I said those three things, I win the game. Otherwise, I'm out of the game, except I still have to answer other people's questions and show cards until one player wins or until everyone loses. So this is a Hasbro mass market game. You're not going to expect good quality, and you're not getting it. Cards with corners, bad idea. They get beat up. The cards themselves, very cheaply made. The characters, I mean, it's neat that they're plastic, and they are different colors, so I'll give them that, but also fairly cheaply made. This board here is not the best thing in the world. It's okay. It looks neat. It's a cool 3D look, but you'll find that if you're playing with 4 players, you're going to have to be constantly moving it because you can only see it really from one side. And if you're sitting over here, you can't see the rooms over here, and it's hard to move your people. So while the board looks cool, it's more of a detriment than anything else. These sheets are fine. It's just, like I said, mass market quality. So Star Wars Clue is different than regular Clue, as in, it's worse. What in the world? How could they have possibly made a game that had a flaw in it? Now, the flaw in Clue was this. It was the dice. Going around and asking people questions is an interesting idea in Clue, right? You ask questions and you get some information, you cross it off, and you can be sneaky and ask people questions of things that you have, just so that they're not sitting there going, well, he has those 3 things, he obviously doesn't have them. Well, no. So you want to ask sometimes every once in a while something you have, or just to narrow something down. So that part of the game's fine, but it's the rolling of the dice. If I roll a 1 in regular Clue several times, it will take me a while. Someone who's rolling a 6 is doing much better. Fortunately, some Clue games came out, especially Clue the DVD game from Rob Daviau, that fixed that problem. And yet, here they regress. Not only did they regress, it gets worse. You still roll the dice and run around in the corridors, but now you draw a card which could just send you to the detention block, period. Because you rolled poorly. Not because you played badly or because you took a chance, but because you rolled poorly. And you can go to the detention block and the other players can seriously say, we're not going to rescue you. If there's a lot of players, they're not going to rescue you. Getting a card, not worth it. They'd rather win the game. Once several players are in a detention block, then it's like, oh, well, we got to run and rescue these people because we'll all lose. And you can all lose. And I'm just, how, in a cooperative game, that makes sense. In a competitive game, man, there's no reason to go rescue someone except to stop everyone from losing. So I will come rescue you so you can get out, and now let's all go finish the game. Boring. So really not good components. It's basically Clue, and worse. Hasbro shouldn't be allowed to have the Star Wars license, honestly, if they're going to mess it up like this. The idea of Clue on the Death Star and things like that, that's some interesting ideas. There's some things that you could have done with that. But the way it's done here, no, not better than Clue. Just a garbage game, really. Dice Tower Judgment, the Force is not with this one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.